Okay, good morning. We're going to get started. I'll be teaching this just like a live class that I will share on Facebook Live. So make sure that you're going through and modifying as necessary. And just if you have any personal injuries or histories, limitations, just make this comfortable and accessible to you so you can maintain this kind of practice even when you're not following a guided sequence. This is going to be 45 minutes, of advanced yoga. And we say advanced just because I may offer a couple more challenging poses, or we stay in them longer with stronger activation cues. So don't let the word daunt you, and just make this class what you need. So to start today, we're going to be in an easy seat. You can be either cross-legged, butterfly. If you're having a little bit of tension, I mean, it's early, so you may feel a little tight in the hips. Go ahead and lift something up under your sacrum so your hips are a little bit higher than your knees. That's going to tilt your body forward and just allow you to have that nice upright spine. Once you've found your posture, go ahead and close the eyes down and just sink into this pose. Calling all of your focus and all of your attention onto this perimeter of your mat where you've dedicated to make a little bit of personal practice and progress today. Starting to be observant of your breath, whether it's kind of shallow for the morning. If you feel like you can't get enough breath. I'm outside so I can feel how humid it is and just feels laborious. We're going to start to control the breath a little bit after we've observed it. So see if you can shift your air and your expansion down low towards the abdomen and even the pelvic floor. So as you breathe in, you're getting big in the belly with air. Trying to do that forward, sideways, and even to the back. It's a lot harder to breathe towards the back of the spine. So that cylindrical, that canister style breath is excellent for activating your core, but we also need spinal uprighting. So see if now when you breathe in, you can almost push down, allow the pelvic floor to expand towards the ground as your upper torso lifts towards the ceiling. Maintain that posture even as you exhale. Beautiful. We're going to get the arms integrated. So bring hands to heart center. Big breath in. Exhale, roll the shoulder blades down the back. Push the ears backward towards the line of your spine. It's called retraction. As you inhale, let the chin jut forward, protraction. As you exhale, push the ears back, 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 retract. Do two more of that neck mobilizer just to prepare for a little bit more advanced postures this morning. Beautiful. Coming back to neutral. Relax the shoulders out if you're creating a little tension. Inhale, both hands overhead. Left hand grabs your right elbow to create a little bit of this side body stretch. Turn your head over to the right and then gaze up at the sky as you lean towards the left. Trying to keep a little bit of heavy pressure into that opposite hip. Good. Come back to neutral, reground through the hips, maintaining your lock on that elbow. Go ahead and rotate towards the left. So you're pushing through your right hip, and the entire torso is just in line now with the left femur. Good. Coming back to center. Inhale, both hands overhead. Look all the way up. And exhale, switching sides. Left elbow bends, right hand grabs, pushing through both sitting bones. So you're kind of uprighting, like you're zipping up your jeans to the front of your pants. Let that activation, that imagery pull you forward as you start to lean over to the right and then gaze up under the arm. Come back to neutral. Stay in that bind. Rotate the whole body the opposite direction so you are now in line with the femur and your sternum. And then really push through that left hip just to give you a little extra lift. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Go ahead, shake out the arms, roll the shoulders. We're going to do the same type of mobility work for the hips. It's just the quickest, most efficient way to get the body ready for class. Okay, so you're going to bring your right leg back behind you, just kind of bending so that you can feel your glute on your left side still in good contact. And so this is going to be for your opposite hip. We're going to mobilize this hip into a couple different ranges of motion. Try to find wherever is comfortable for you. There's nothing comfortable about remodeling a hip capsule, but we want to make sure there's no sharp, crazy pinch at least. So if you have to move your front foot away or that knee backwards or forwards, just try to find relatively easy posture that can allow you to not have to do this. See if you can sit upright. Good. So that's zipping up through the front body using your right hip. Imagine if you could push your right hip forward, almost like you're trying to turn yourself to the left. So you're just going to have a few rounds of pushing that foot forward. I'm sorry, the hip forward, and you can feel that glute contraction. 3 more times. Good, and last time, go ahead, hold that contraction and really squeeze your right glute for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, go ahead, relax that. Next motion, looking over at your ankle. See if that right ankle can lift up towards the sky. So what you'll do is have to lean your body forward, push down into that stationary knee, and try to get a little ankle height. So we're compressing into femoral internal rotation. And it doesn't feel amazing. If you start to cramp, go ahead, lean away, opposite direction, and just breathe a little bit. A few more rounds of that. Good. Those are the hardest two. This one should be a little bit easier. Now we're trying to push into that same ankle to lift the knee up off the ground. So there's a lot of things happening here, and what we're teaching your body is how to differentiate hip movement from torso and pelvic movement. So ideally, we're learning to not move here as the hip explores its full range of motion. Good. Okay, let's get out of that. We'll switch sides. So flip that leg around to the front. Other one comes behind you. This side could be a completely different story. So if that's really uncomfortable, again, find that front foot position and that knee height that just allows you to be relatively upright. Step 1 was zipping up those abdominal muscles, lifting your torso forward as you use now your left hip to try to drive forward into extension. Almost if you were running, this would look like the hip was going backwards as you were pushing off into gate. Couple more. It's starting to rain, but that's okay. Good, and then last time, go ahead, push that hip into extension and then contract that left glute. 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're fatiguing out the muscles that are limiting your normal hip range of motion. Okay, looking over at this ankle, using the whole body to shift your weight forward. Good pressure on that front knee. See if you can lift the ankle up. Just try to clear the mat. It may feel really silly, and on this side, there's not a lot of things happening. But it's okay. We're slowly teaching the brain how to do this movement. We're going to do 2 more. Good, and then relax that ankle. Last little round is this knee now. As your body weight shifts backwards and you have good pressure on the left ankle, let the knee rise up, trying to keep the spine where it is instead of having to lean away to do that. But if that's where you're at today, that's okay. If you've never seen any of this type of capsule mobility work before, it's a great step. And last one. Good. Go ahead. Get out of that position. So those little simple weird movements just cut about 10 minutes of other yoga poses that we do not have to do now to get the same type of life and heat going in the hips. So let's start a little bit more fluid motion. Find yourself in tabletop pose. In tabletop, hands are going to be right under the shoulders, knees are right under the hips. Tuck the toes underneath so we can integrate the full body. As you inhale, drop the belly towards the mat, look up towards the sky. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, shift forward as you press your hands. One more time, inhale, look up. As you exhale, tuck underneath, shift your weight forward, hover the knees off the ground. So you have a little bit of knee height as you're pushing your low back up towards the ceiling. Holding for 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees, drop the belly, reversing the spine, look up towards the ceiling. Last time, exhale into that cat pose. Hover the knees, and then we're going to stay a little bit longer. The goal of this pose truly is to push the low back towards the ceiling. Good. Now start to shift away from your hands. So your hips are going backward, away from the hands, away from the hands. Stay deep bent in the knees. It's called bear pose. It's not exactly down dog, but you can feel your quads really have to activate. 4, 3, 2, 1. Walk your hands all the way back and find yourself in chair pose at the back of the mat. So in chair, you're sitting as if on a chair. Feet are hip width distance. Hands come up overhead or stay at the chest if that's a little easier on the shoulders. If the rib cage is doing something really exotic and pretty, go ahead, tuck the tailbone underneath to bring it back into neutral. Inhale, both hands to heart. Exhale, straight arms twist open to the left, forward and behind you. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist open to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale again, one more time, both sides. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. Good, find yourself in full chair pose. As you exhale, come up onto the toes, flying the heels a little bit. Inhale, back to chair, almost there, burning the legs out. Exhale, airplane arms as you fly up onto the toes. Holding for 3, 2, 1. Drop the heels, forward fold. It may be a little stiff for the morning, so go ahead and just keep the knees bent. Maybe swaying side to side. Interlacing hands and opposite elbows to give you a little bit more top weight. And we're going to reverse our walk back to the front of the mat. See if you can find yourself right into that bear pose. So as you walk forward, still knees bent, hips are lifted, arms are straight. And then start to straighten the legs for your first downward dog of the day. If by straightening your legs, you have now rounded forward away from your heels, keep the knees bent. So the most important part is the straight line from your hands to your hips. 3 breaths here. Good. Inhale, lift your left heel straight up behind you. Peek under, make sure the toes are pointed down. And that left glute isn't higher than your right glute. So try to keep the same, as if you could balance something on your sacrum. Look at the mat. Try to drop your right forearm down to the mat. So it's a little bit of an awkward pigeon, or awkward downward dog. But it teaches us to push into the forearm and find the symmetry in the pelvis. Good. Coming back to neutral, drop the left leg. Look forward, shift into high plank or modified plank, drop the knees down. Big breath in. Exhale, bend the elbows to your side, chaturanga all the way down to the mat. Flip to the tops of the feet. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, forward fold. One more time, inhale, cobra, rise and lift. Exhale, fold. Tuck the toes underneath, meeting me back into high plank, modified or not. Right back to downward facing dog. Switching sides. Left foot plants. Inhale the right heel towards the sky. Look under, toes are face down. And the right hip isn't higher than the left hip. Look towards the mat. Drop the left forearm this time. And you can put a pretty good weight on there as if you were going to try to fly that left heel. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come push back up. Bring both feet to neutral. One more time. Roll open to that high plank and go through your vinyasa, which is a transition from high to low plank, cobra or upward facing, and then pushing back to downward facing. Once you found your down dog, look forward and slowly walk all the way to the front to get off the hands and give them a break in your forward fold. Rotating from side to side. You may have a little bit better range already. Bending one knee at a time. Drop your right hand down to the ground, bend the right knee, twist open to the left. Straight arm up towards the ceiling or sky. Deep belly breaths, almost like you're filling up your pant line with air. And then switching sides, left hand comes down, bend the left knee as the right leg straightens and propels you up. And slowly releasing. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, 7 shape. And then shift your weight a little bit more forward so you feel like you're going to kind of fall a little bit. Interlace the hands behind the low back, pressing the palms of the heels together first, then straightening the arms. Release yourself again into forward fold. Bend the knees deeply, but stay in your arm bind. Release the hands, swing forward to chair pose. So we're really already low in this nice hip hinge. And then while we're here, start to shift your weight over to the left foot. See if we can hover the right foot in our chair posture. Really feeling the legs today. Good, switching sides. Weight comes over to the right foot. Lift that left foot towards the sky. If you had put your hands on your hips, you're trying to maintain a little bit of hip hike and not hip hiking, a little bit of symmetry there. Good, last breath in your chair. Exhale, stand all the way up. Bring hands to heart. Inhale, hands overhead, look up. Exhale, baby back bend, cactus arms. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, drop the hands through your vinyasa. Chloe. High to low plank. Lift the feet, up dog. Press the hips back, down dog. This time, shifting weight into the left foot. Lift your right heel towards the sky. Breath in. Look forward. Exhale, tap the right knee to your right elbow for a brief touch as you shift your weight. Inhale, kick back. Exhale, switching elbows, shifting your weight forward. Tap the left elbow. Last time, kick up to the sky. Look in between your hands, bend the knee, drive foot in between to frame the hands. And then drop your left knee down to the ground, flip to the top of that left foot. As you push through the right heel, upright the body, and let yourself get tall as the hands inhale up towards the ceiling. Exhale, baby back bend. If you're collapsing through that front hip, still push through the front heel to upright you. Inhale, hands up, look up. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, look up, straighten. Exhale, shift your weight forward. Left hand comes down. Tuck the back toe to straighten the left leg as your right arm twists open towards the sky. Look down to the ground. Walk your right hand on the inside of your foot and slowly walk the hands all the way around to wide-legged forward fold. So in this posture, your toes are turned in a little bit. Your heels are facing out. Your hips are trying to be right over the weight of your heel. So shift your weight forward just a little bit. Hands can come down. If you have the range, forearms can come down. And once you're here, just go ahead and play a little bit. Maybe swaying side to side. Good. Drop your left forearm down to the ground and twist your right arm open towards the ceiling. If that's too low for you, you can be up on tented fingertips to do the same posture. And then go ahead, switch sides. Whichever arm you have not done. Beautiful. Walking up, get really high through the hands as you turn both feet facing the front to come to our opposite side. Release both hands on the ground, go through your vinyasa, so transition, and you can always just meet right back in down dog or child's pose. Safe plank before you flip to down dog. Beautiful. Good pressure through the right foot as we inhale, left heel rise towards the sky. Look forward, exhale, tap the left knee to left elbow. Shift the weight as you do. Press through the hands, inhale, three-legged dog. Opposite side, exhale, tapping the right elbow. Inhale, switching it up. And then as you exhale, look forward, step through in between the hands. Drop your right knee down and the top of the right foot. As you press through that front heel and lift yourself all the way up. Breath in, look up. Exhale, baby back bend. If that's too sharp for you, just stay. Allow the torso to back bend more than your actual back. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Last time, inhale, straighten. Exhale, bring hands to heart. Shift your weight forward. Right hand touches down to the ground. Tuck the back toe so you can straighten your right leg, and then twist the left arm open towards the sky. If you feel like you have a lot of pinching going on in the front hip, heel toe your foot out a little bit to give you more of a square, wide base. And then cartwheel the hands down, walk yourself around to another wide-legged forward fold facing the opposite direction. Again, toes turned in just a hair. This time, we're gonna bring hands to the hips if you feel safe. So it's almost like a halfway lift, 7 shape of the back. Exhale, forward fold with the hands at the hips. Peace fingers grab the big toes on both sides. Inhale, halfway lift with bind. Exhale, bend the elbows out to the side, forward fold. Inhale, one more flow, half lift, straight arms. Exhale, bend the elbows, fold for 5 breaths. Inhale, halfway lift, unbind. We're gonna have one more round of 5 breaths. If you have a headstand or tripod stand in your practice, you can go into that now. If you'd like a different variation, you can walk your hands over to the foot or ankle and pull yourself to one side. Keep breathing. And then rotating sides if you're in this bind. Walk your hands back to center. Pick up your heels, bring them on the inside of your toes. Walk your hips back and your hands will help you come up to goddess pose. So a little bit of a lighter transition out. Go ahead and just release the hands. We had a lot of pressure on the shoulders, maybe making some big circles. And then opening into our full goddess or temple pose. Zip up one more time through the front body. And then you can almost feel as if you tuck your tailbone under, the thighs roll out. And there's a lot of activation happening on the inside of the legs here. Sink deeper as inhale, hands go overhead. Exhale, push the hands out, rise a little bit. Inhale, sink and arms up. Exhale, push out. Squeezing the glutes as you do. One more time, inhale, sink. Exhale, push out. Straighten the legs to give yourself a little bit of a break. Hands come up overhead. Left hand grabs right wrist. Lean over to the side. Gaze is up underneath the arms. Switching sides, inhale, rise tall. Exhale, opposite elbow. Up and over. Good, inhale, straight. Exhale, sink back into our goddess pose one more time. We're not done. We're gonna start by pointing the left heel. So try to stay centered here and let the ankle pump. Heel rises up, breath in. Exhale, drop it. You don't have to follow breath with this. Go at your own pace. We're gonna do about 10 ankle mobility, hip extension, flexion exercises. And then switching sides. Trying to stay on evenly, just as much on the fifth toe as you are on the first toe, so you're not rolling your ankle. Can we do both sides? Down. You'll start to feel a little bit of that brain discoordination when you do multi-levels of joint mobility. That's why we practice. And then when we go for a run or a bike or any other cross-training activity, we have extra coordination and motor patterns prepared. Good, drop the heels, lift the arms up for 3, 2, 1. Straighten the legs, heel toe in all the way to hip width distance. Go ahead, shake that out. That was a really good burn. How are we doing? Okay, so now that we're fatigued, we're gonna do a little bit of balance work. With your feet facing forward, look down at the toes. Try to pick the toes up and then flare them out as much as possible before you lay them back down. So you're trying to see a gap in between each of your toes. Good pressure through the first toe, the fifth toe, and the heel. Go ahead and try to tent so like you're squeezing your arch, lifting your arch towards the sky. Strong activated legs, tuck the tailbone under. Bring your weight over to your left leg. Right knee rises, knee to chest. Inhale, kick the leg long, straight towards the front of the room. Exhale, bend forward and into warrior 3. Leaning forward at the hip, leg comes behind you. We're gonna do that a few times so we have a firm footing. Inhale, knee to chest. Exhale, kick the foot straight. Inhale, bend knee to chest. Exhale, warrior 3. One more time. Burning the hips out today. Breath in. Exhale, kick. Inhale, bend. Exhale, 3. Holding this warrior 3 posture for just a moment longer. If your left foot is really far away, try to bring your left heel an inch closer to you, which will unhike your hips. Going into half moon pose, drop the right hand down to block or the mat as you twist open and let the toes turn to face the long side of your mat. You can have both hands down. You can give yourself a straight arm gauge so you know if your ribs are collapsing or if they're staying buoyant. Look to the back of the mat. Drop that foot all the way back. Find yourself in warrior two. Once you're in warrior two, bend through that front knee. Push the arms as they are extending both evenly forward and backward. Few strong breaths. Drop your right elbow to your right knee. Extend left arm overhead or all the way to the front of the mat. Cartwheel the hands down. Go through a vinyasa transition. Or just meaning back and downward facing dog. Three breaths. Look forward, inhale the knees high and the heels high, bend the knees, exhale, walk or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, inhale, chair pose. Exhale, sink into chair. Straighten the legs, inhale, extend your mountain. Exhale, hands to heart. Switching sides on our balance challenge here. So weight is going to come over to the opposite foot. Leave your right foot. Try to flare the toes out, creating a good space in between them. Good pressure between the first toe, the fifth toe, and the heel. That triplanar arch is going to activate the inside, the outside, and the back of the leg as we lift our left knee to chest. Trying to keep the hips relatively at the same height. Big breath in. Exhale, kick and straighten the leg forward. Inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, warrior three, kicking out straight behind you. Inhale, knee to chest. Exhale, kick forward. Inhale, bend. Exhale, warrior three. Last time, inhale, knee to chest. Exhale, kick. Inhale, bend. Exhale, warrior three. Maintaining this posture for a little bit. Make sure the rib cage is in line with the hips. Toes are pointing down. Usually that opposite heel needs to pull in just a little bit closer toward your pelvis to reduce a hip height. 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop into half moon pose. So hand comes down, toes turn to the long side of your mat, allowing the sternum to rotate open as your pelvis does. So you're feeling a little unbalanced, gaze is down towards the ground. Look to the back of your mat, slow, controlled, find yourself to warrior two. Back foot is parallel to the line of your mat, sinking into this front knee. Strong arms as if you're reaching and pressing into water. We all know that resistance down here. Bend elbow to the knee, look up towards the sky. Looking down towards the mat, cartwheel the hands, go through your last vinyasa for the day. High plank to low, flipping the feet upward facing. Safe, strong plank before flipping the feet to downward facing. 3 breaths in down dog. Maybe swing the hips side to side. Inhale, wheel towards the sky, opposite wrist, trying to walk yourself back into this pigeon posture. Ideally, the front shin is trying to become square and parallel to the front of your mat, but if that prevents you from keeping your hips square, then walk the shin back a little bit closer to your body, trying to bring your left hip forward as the right hip comes back into space. Push through both of your glutes and lift yourself up towards the sky for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the glutes. See if you can walk yourself in a little bit deeper now. We're fatiguing out the muscles that are resisting you from finding your full range of motion. One more time, squeeze the glutes up and in. It'll look like you'll see me rising off the ground a little. And then releasing the hips, maybe walking yourself down. And turn behind you. Make sure that that leg is straight behind you and that you're above the kneecap. Starting to bring the forearms down to the mat. Swaying a little bit, feeling the difference, the different vectors of your hip tissue. It just feels tight with certain movement. If you have a little bit of a hip hike, see if you can drop the hip deeper into the socket, making the glute go away from your forearm. As the head gets long and the sternum shifts forward. Walking yourself all the way down. That you can stay here today. You can add some nice rotation. Whatever will allow you to stay in this posture for 10 more breaths. Find your full expression. Just as slow and cautious as we came into it, start to walk yourself out of this pose. Bringing your hands underneath, tuck your back toe so you can straighten your leg, give yourself a little bit of height as you push the right leg through. Drop down onto the belly, and we're just gonna do a little bit of back mobilization after that deep hip flexion. So it's gonna look like a cobra, except your hips stay low and your arms are going to straighten. Really deep, low back bend. And then falling back down. If you feel a sharp pinch or anything, move your hands more forward as you breathe in. Exhale, straighten the arms. Not a lot of glute activation. This is really an arm thing. To prevent that, push through the tops of the feet as you lift. One more time. Good. Tuck the toes underneath, hands come right under the shoulders. Press back to downward facing dog. Inhale your left heel towards the sky. Exhale, come through pigeon pose on the opposite side. Walking your foot evenly straight back behind you. This side could feel different, but we're going to do the same type of contract and relax fatigue to loosen up the hips. So push both glutes, squeeze them up and inward towards each other. To do that, it's usually pushing the knees down. And then relax. See if you can walk a little bit deeper into this pigeon. One more time, pushing the knees so your glutes are lifting you up and in for 3, 2, 1. Drop and walk yourself. Rearrange each time, slowly sink into it. Coming down to the forearms, this is where you can stay here today. If you are low enough, I always like to add the cue that your forearm can actually touch the inside of your foot and give you a little bit of a bind. So my arm is squeezing my foot over as the foot pushes in to the forearm. It prevents me from having a rolled open pigeon and pulls and activates the shoulder blades down the back. Find your full expression and breathe. Take your 2 deepest breaths. And then slowly, kindly releasing both legs around to the front, kicking them out long in front of you. And settling yourself down to your back. So we did a back mobilization exercise face down. We're going to do another extension exercise here, but on your back. So feet are going to come hip width distance. Plant your hands strongly on each side of you as you lift up into bridge pose. Thinking about this part being the buoyant section as you inhale and allow it to fill up with belly breath. Dropping the hips down, pulling both knees to chest. Give yourself a little bit of spine massage. And then just to finish out class, go ahead and just do a couple minutes of whatever position you just really wish we got to today or where your body's really calling to. I'm a firm believer in intuitive movement, so guided classes are excellent, but I really would like you to find just peace with understanding what your body needs and offering it. And then we'll just take a few slow breaths to work yourself into some type of surrendering pose. So either supine bound angle where the knees fall open, palms of feet come together. If you like sitting meditation or supine corpse pose, Shavasana, just allow your body to feel the full weight of surrender onto the mat. Close the eyes down and just sink into your progress, allowing the brain to apply and integrate all the new movement patterns and the emotional patterns that are paired with the poses. And I'm going to close class for today, but I highly encourage you to stay in this posture, give yourself the space and time on your mat, and continue your Shavasana. thank you so much for joining me today. Dr. Marina Mangano here. I will see you Monday next week for 8:30 beginners class. Bye.